Well, it was bound to happen. I knew we'd have to cross that bridge sooner or later. I just didn't think it would be because of Taylor Swift. But here we go. This week's online Bible study includes a parental advisory warning. Hey guys, welcome to 30 on Thursdays, the online resource of the Root Church of Tampa Bay. Pastor David here with you, and in this week's episode, we may upset a lot of parents of 11-year-old girls by revealing the racy and risque lyrics found on the brand new Taylor Swift album that you may have already downloaded for your daughters. Now look, even if you've been living under a rock and that rock fell on your head and knocked you into a coma for 15 years, you'd still know who Taylor Swift is. The blonde-haired superstar began making music in her teens, and for the better part of 2 decades, she's dominated the charts by releasing one record-breaking album after another. Now, she started off in country, but successfully moved to pop, and now she rules the world of music. As a result, she's got more awards than Beyonce has background dancers, okay? But Tay Tay's influence isn't just limited to the radio. She's been in TV shows and movies as well. She also happens to be a multi-billionaire philanthropist who's been on more glossy covers than you can count, including Time Magazine for Person of the Year in 2023. In short, she's quite possibly the most well-known, most followed woman on the planet. And for years, she's also been the most famous girlfriend or ex-girlfriend in the world. But just a couple of months ago, she became the most famous fiance in the world, and that's because Travis Kelce, who has multiple Super Bowl rings with the Kansas City Chiefs, put an engagement ring on her finger, effectively taking her off the market. But Taylor's relationship status isn't the only thing that's been changing lately, and that's the subject, the focus of this video. See, when Blondie kickstarted her career, it was by making folksy, simple songs that related to millions of young girls who eagerly sang her lyrics at karaoke events or sellout concerts across the nation. But recently, there's been a noticeable shift in her music, in her message, and yes, even in her concert attire, as you can see here. Now look, I totally get that Taylor's no longer a teenage girl. She's a grown woman who understandably wants to sing songs for her peers. Makes sense. But there's still hundreds of millions of very young girls around the world memorizing the lyrics of this shifting music. And that shift is towards more and more adult content like that which is found on her latest album, The Life of a Showgirl. And it's finally causing some to ask, is Taylor too toxic for young girls? Check it out. In Actually Romantic, a diss track, Swift spends an entire song insulting a fellow songstress that she never names. Tay Tay says the unnamed singer has focused so much attention and energy on her that she actually finds it romantic, hence the name of the song. In fact, it evidently makes Taylor feel so romantic that, well, you can see for yourself. I just want you to try understanding how difficult it would be to explain that line to a 9-year-old girl. And then there's Honey, a song about the pet name her significant other uses for her. See, when he calls her honey, it doesn't carry the sarcastic tone that a catty girl at the bar might use. No. His sweet talk makes her want him badly. So badly that they don't always make it into the bedroom. And who is this silver-tongued lover? None other than Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, her husband-to-be. Now we know that because in Wood, the last song we'll mention, she references the name of the podcast that he hosts with his brother Jason Kelce, a former Philadelphia Eagle. Now, I'm not going to read those lyrics to you because, well, I preach with this mouth. But if you have any trouble deciphering exactly which part of Travis Kelce's anatomy that Miss Swift is talking about in Wood, just ask any middle school boy in your neighborhood and he'll happily explain it to you. So yeah, T-Swizzle's come a long way since singing about Romeo and Juliet in 2008's Love Story. But to be fair, Taylor's not the only one to make this sensual transition. She's just the latest. See, all of these musical celebrities have followed the exact same career path. Start off mostly wholesome, usually on Disney, draw in millions of young listeners, go mainstream, aka erotic, and then drag generations of young girls into confusion, desensitization, and destructive behavior. And of course, we don't call it that. No. Instead, we label it mature, as in this artist is maturing, or this album has a more mature tone. It's the exact same equivalent of calling a strip joint a gentleman's club. Now look, I've been following Taylor Swift and her music for a very long time, like all the way back to my youth ministry days, right? And pastorally speaking, I'd encourage you to refrain from being entertained by the things that Christ calls sin. Ultimately, though, it's your family and your call. But as you decide if Taylor is too toxic, here are some pointers to keep in mind. First, watch who young stars become, especially the ones your kids are interested in. See, these celebrities, they grow up, but too often their messages, well, they still tear down. So listen to what it is they say and examine the values that they put on display. Notice who and what they endorse. Sometimes it's as simple as observing the way that they dress. Other times, though, you might have to do a little digging. And here's the easiest way I know how. Research the song's lyrics and music video. If your child asks to download an artist's song that you're not familiar with, just do a quick search for the song's lyrics and music video. Any song popular enough to get your kid's attention will be easy to find online. Just take 2 minutes to read through the song's lyrics on Google, and then another 4 minutes to watch the music video on YouTube. And then boom, you've got enough information to make an informed decision. But you still got a decision to make. And so, use the filter of Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. In this simple passage, the Apostle Paul, he might not tell us exactly which songs we can and can't listen to, but he does give us a very helpful way of deciding what we think about, what we allow to influence us, and ultimately what we give ourselves to. And this is a crucially important sentence in God's Word. So pour over it with prayer, asking God's wisdom to guide you. All right, guys, as we wrap up, I think it's important to say that in no way, shape, or form do I think that Taylor Swift is the spawn of Satan, okay? I don't want to be guilty of making a mountain out of a molehill, but I do want to point out a noticeable and a disappointing shift in her music and her influence. Now, how you choose to lead your family through questions like, should we listen to Taylor Swift's music? That's totally up to you. But we do want to offer you and your crew the tools necessary to make godly decisions. And so with that in mind, we put a short Bible study in the description box beneath this video. It'll walk you through some of today's most popular music in light of God's Word. So take a few moments to check it out so you'll know how to guide those you love. And we'll meet you right back here for the very next episode of 30 on Thursdays.